my goal for the Size Up.
Absolutely.
Your goal for the Size
That's
Up.
where we're headed.
And that goal is to make not just the fire service, not just the emergency services, but anyone listening to this better after they listen. And I know for a fact that I've become a better person because of my involvements bigger than me and listening to other stories and taking my own personal size up that I do daily and seeing if I could be better. It's just better than yesterday.
I can see you.
Anytime you're ready, Bubba, it's your show.
Is it really?
Yeah,
my
you're
show?
fucking interviewing us.
I think that should be how it starts almost. I guess this is my show. Welcome to the Size Up, episode 1. You can
the
laugh.
episode.
The episode 1.
Absolutely.
This is it. This is
Remember,
the only one.
Star Wars started at episode 4, though.
Oh, man. Why do you got to deflate me?
I'm
It's just
sorry.
like all my nerves went away. And now I'm like, why don't we start at episode 4 when we do this?
And we'll stop right there. Seb, clip that. That's the intro. That's the intro.
You just deflated me.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Size Up is going to be a show where I get to host it. For those of you who don't know me, everyone calls me Pip, and we're just going to end it at that. And because the show's not about me, it's about the guests that I'm having and their stories and how they got to be where they are. So today I have with me. Do I have to introduce you, or does everybody know who they are?
No, nobody knows who we are.
Well, this also too, people could be listening to this and can't see your
I mean,
face.
if a lot of your following is in fitness and health, and I'm certainly not a model of that. So probably your people don't know who I am. So we'll talk about that.
We can talk about who you guys
We can talk
are.
about that. Absolutely.
There is this great thing called National Fire Radio, and the Size Up is under the National Fire Radio platform, brand, whatever.
We're becoming a family.
We're becoming a family. The hashtag NFR family.
Yeah.
You can search that hashtag, and it's getting used a lot right now. But I have with me Jeremy and Tucker from National Fire Radio.
Absolutely.
Welcome, guys.
Good morning, brother.
How weird is? I don't. This is weird being that.
Why?
Like,
I love it because I never get interviewed.
it's cool. I think
So
it's a cool
I absolutely love being on the other end. So I'm just
awesome.
going to sit back and answer questions.
stare at me. They're
right.
both staring at me. It's so
Blank stares.
nerve-wracking right
Blank
now.
stares,
'Cause
absolutely.
Usually people are asking me the questions.
That's right.
And I
And
get to
no
go back,
silent
so.
time.
Echo Charles from the Jocko podcast taught me that when I met him. So there can be no nanoseconds of silence.
Yeah.
There was just one right there.
Absolutely.
But I think you have to drop some sometimes, Tucker.
I think we should also say too that Tucker and I were fortunate enough to be here today. Sebi had to run out. Sebi, Rob, and Heather, and so on. So the platform is bigger than just Tucker and I. We have a lot of people that are wrapped up into what we do.
So let's jump into it. How long has National Fire Radio been going for?
March.
Let's go.
March 2 years ago. So
we're not quite 2 years yet.
yeah, March of 2018. This has been something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. It's one of those things that, I grew up in the fire service, second generation in the firehouse, grew up as a kid in the firehouse. And I was fortunate enough to be one of those kids that just totally hopped into it, both feet and just went at it. And, I'm a career volunteer. So 24 years in the firehouse, been a volunteer.
That's a good way to describe it.
Never have I been able to, I shouldn't say that. I've had opportunity to get on the job. I've deferred it. I've just was fortunate in life to have a job that took good care of me and my family, and it just wasn't in the cards to become a career firefighter. Proud to say, though, that through my volunteer house, we put out probably 3 to 5 paid guys a year out of our house.
Which is awesome. It's awesome to see that flow, and that's kind of where I came from. I came from same thing, firehouse family, but I went and was a volunteer, EMS and fire first, and then went into the career side of it. So it's great to see that people see that. I don't want to say it's a stepping stone because that seems a little demeaning.
No, I don't.
It's a good way to step into the service.
But without a doubt, right? And for me, I always wanted to do more. I felt that I could do more for the fire service than in our volunteer house. I mean, I'm super busy, and we're a busy department for a suburban town. We run and we go to fires and so on. So, with that, I'm content, and I have a whole life outside of the firehouse, but I always
Not
wanted
that
to do,
big of a life, but
it's pretty big, Tucker.
Pretty
I mean,
large. Tucker, if you follow him, we know you don't know much about social media, but the guy is everywhere on social media.
But I'll tell you this, right? Like I think there's a lot of good that needs to come from the job, and when I talk about the job, and we've talked about this consistently, that we don't discriminate volunteer career. It's the job. When there's a fire, there's a fire.
yeah, fire's fire.
When there's work to do, there's work to do, and so on. So for us, when we talk about it, it's important that we get rid of all the nonsense and we just talk about the job at hand. But for me, where it came from, I wanted to do more. I felt that the message was getting lost. I felt that the traditional means of the fire service and getting the message out is dwindling. Print ad is dying. It's overpriced. It's not what kids are doing. How do we reach the younger generation? There seems to be a disconnect between the senior man and the junior man. There seems to be a lot of finger pointing, and it seems like nobody wants to work anymore. Seems, and all these things, and so all these things were piling up, and they've been on my brain for a long time. And I'm the type of guy that finally just got inspired to do something about it. And I figured we'd start a podcast. Podcasts are popular, and I said, if we could start something, maybe a social media content page and podcast that can get the good word out there, and talk about why the job is still good, and be able to, reach the younger generations on the platforms they're listening to, and to be able to spread the positivity and not the negativity, we're going to win. And so I rounded it out. I talked to Rob Ridley, who was a career fireman. He's a boss up in Poughkeepsie, New York. He was an acquaintance at the time. And I talked to him and I said, hey, man, what do you think? He's like, I'll jump in with you. He started rolling with me. I got Sebastian in, who Sebi was one of my younger volunteer kids, and who now just went on to get hired in a career job. And then we rounded it out with Tucker. I needed
the old guy.
Yeah, I wanted the guy.
Mustache.
Well, that's what it was, right? I mean,
it's a cool mustache.
All about the mustache.
Yeah.
And so we got Tucker on board. So the four of us started rolling, and man, did it take off?
It definitely took off.
All over.
Yeah, I mean,
all over the country.
Did you have any clue? Because this is something that I think is a big deal for all listeners. Before you started a podcast, did you have any clue how to start a podcast?
No, I still don't know what we're doing.
It's part of it, right?
Right. And for me, no, I have no idea. I'm not the technical guy, I mean, we travel all over the country now. We're just, it's an incredible thing. We were in Texas last week, and I wasn't able to have Sebi with us, who does all of our editing and tech and sound and cameras and all that. And Chris Lewis is another guy that helps us, and so on. And so, I'm fumbling around trying to figure it all out. I mean, this is what it's all about. Like, we're not a polished, big conglomerate that sends in people and has production teams and all this. We're just firemen. We're firemen that are trying to just pass on the good word and message about how good the fire service is, sharing tips, tricks, hacks, making friendships along the way. I mean, that's what this is about. And I think that's why truly we're having some success with this, is because it is authentic. It's 100% authentic. There's no bullshit, and it's just, we are who we are.
Well, we're also in the largest fraternity in the world, so capitalize on that a little bit. You have police and teacher unions and stuff, but we're worldwide. We speak the same language. Fire's fire.
It's an amazing thing too when you can bring it all together, when you bring like-minded people together. And I think you had said something that you felt was that culture, that like-mindedness, due to the way technology was taking the world, not so much the fire service, because it's the world as well,
right,
but it was taking it away. And instead of saying, well, we're just going this way and it's going to be gone, you guys said, no, we can harness this, we can use it, and we can give back to the fire service.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what
some
you're doing.
of the best things are the stories that used to be, right around the table, and that's kind of lacking now. So we brought the table to the internet, really.
Yeah, and the table has turned into, and I'm just as guilty as the next guy, is this.
It is, but I don't think, I think we get on the soapbox about how bad the phone is, or the cell phone ruined the fire service, or this or that. And I look at it the other way. I think it's a valuable training tool. I think that we can use this in a positive light. And I think we use this, we fall onto the phone as an excuse for not having to engage. I think we use it as an excuse for not working harder. I think we use that as an excuse why this kid's lazy and doesn't want to do anything because he's on his phone, yet the senior man's sitting across the kitchen on his phone. Right. So there's a lot of that back and forth. I mean, part of what National Fire Radio was to do was, when I'm a big nostalgia guy. I love tradition. I love culture. And that's why we started this, to pass on those stories. And we talk about the senior man a lot on our platform. And we talk about the important role of that senior man. I mean, without him, we're losing. And we might have a senior man on the job, but if he's not willing to pass forth his knowledge and experience and his storytelling.
Useless.
Not even useless, but you're not building up the next generation. You can't point the finger at the kids if you're not working hard to educate them and make them a better firefighter.
And I think it's become easier to point the finger, again, because of technology, because you see all this. We didn't see what was happening in California 16 years ago like we see it right this second. You know, I can see it right now on the other side of the country if I wanted to.
And there's something to be said for the immediacy, and that's part of what we're doing here too, right? And that goes to training and so on. Is that, you know, if you want an answer, you could have an answer in 15 seconds.
Totally.
You know, we used to
ask the Google machine.
Yeah, we used to sit around a table and argue for a half hour about, you know, who was right and who was wrong, right?
How far the moon was from the Earth would be a 5-hour argument at the firehouse, and now it's ask the Google machine.
Right, and I think part of that is missing, and I think, you know, maybe you could fault technology for some of that, but I also look at it, though, is that we have to embrace it, and it's not going anywhere.
No.
So we can't demonize it. We can't put it in a box and market, you know, damaged goods that it's affecting us. So if this is here to stay, which it is, and it's only going to get more prevalent, then how do we as a fire service combat it? And how do we embrace that to make it work for us?
You need to use it as a resource.
For sure.
Instead of as a crutch.
For sure. And we've seen that in the fire service for years when it came to the SCBA pack. In the beginning, nobody wanted to wear one. They were hidden in a
We had them in
boxes. In a box there.
Yep.
We. See, Tucker can say we. You know, I can't say we, but Tucker can say we. I've heard tale of this, let's say, right?
Right.
But it's the same as with this. You have to embrace it. You know, the fact that I could get the directions to a fire given to me automatically now.
Well, I can't get directions to a firehouse.
Which is true. Some of us don't embrace that.
I didn't want to, go there right now.
So, but when you say something like that, Tucker, and there's a little joke about Tucker getting lost this morning on the way to the studio.
But hold on. So let's tell this story real quick, right? So, you know, you mentioned that it took us like an hour to set up this morning to do this. And that's really because it's a brand new studio space.
Yeah.
I mean, we just moved into this studio space a few weeks back. I mean, there's still tables and boxes and things just not put away, and we're not even set up with the hardware yet, and the background is still not even finished and so on. But we want to get the content out. And part of what 2020 was going to be for National Fire Radio was to expand our footprint and to bring on new personalities such as, you know, yourself, Pip. I mean, you're a welcome addition to our family with the Size Up.
Thanks,
and I'm
man.
excited for it because I think we've been able to hack attention because we're on the channels that matter and we're putting out continuous content and we're hitting it to the point that people are starting to really understand what we're doing and that we're bigger than just an Instagram page. It's more than that. And now we start to round it out with yourself, and we have another platform called Rush the Bus. And we're going to have another platform coming out soon with another rock star. Yeah. We're bringing in personalities that all line up under the National Fire Radio family just to make this job better. Well-being, physical fitness. I mean, that's what this Size Up's going to be all about. It's going to be all about mental preparation and physical fitness and all that. And I think that just promotes the job on the you know, in a good way. Rush the Bus is an EMS podcast, the platform. EMS, we hit on. You were already on an episode.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And, you know, that's an industry that I don't think gets enough spotlight and attention. And so we're excited to hack that and go after it and really make a name. And Pete and Julie are doing a fantastic thing.
Yeah. All their videos if you're not following Rush the Bus on Instagram
cool.
and you work in the emergency services field,
yeah,
not just
cool.
EMS, they're showing tips and tricks and hacks, I guess is what you're calling them, right?
Yeah,
it's a hack,
right.
That just make life easier, you know what I mean, in some of the things that they're showing. And they're showing you, just the other day they had one, so if anybody out there that works EMS or is in the service, you have to open an oxygen bottle with an oxygen key,
right?
And it may as well be the oxygen key to EMS may as well be like the bathroom key at a garage, at a service station, right, connected to the cinder block, because you lose that thing all the time. And I mean, I've seen them taped everywhere. People wear them on their bat belts, whatever you want to say, and it's still lost. And the other day, I've been in EMS almost 25 years, and I didn't know you could use the stretcher to open an oxygen bottle in a pinch.
Right.
And I can definitely say there was a day where I was probably like, oh, I could have just done that, like easily. So it's cool that that's happening. And when
Tricks
you look
of the
at
trade,
that's it. And that's what we're showing people, and that's what you're showing people. And this platform together, along with the Size Up with this show, is all about making the service better, making people better.
Absolutely.
And how you had said before, I know I've come into this, however, whatever you want to call this, through the fitness world, you know, through the not-for-profit 555 Fitness, but I've learned so much about myself, about others, and by being part of something larger than me. And that's what we hope the Size Up is. And that's what I want to hear from you guys now, is how is National Fire Radio, being involved in it and creating it, made you a better person, provider, whichever term you want to use?
Yeah, I man, I could go on for hours about that, but
Well, we don't have hours.
I know that.
You got to give me the big one.
No, I know, but you're absolutely right. I mean, one thing that it's done, it's holding me accountable. Accountability is a big word that I think is used too softly, because I don't think people understand the word accountability. For myself, when we started this thing, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had some ideas that we'd be able to, get some attention and put some good stuff out there. But you start receiving, as the attention gains, you start receiving messages from people that you're being impactful to. I get messages all the time about, asking for advice or this or that and so on. And all of a sudden you start to realize, like, hey man, this has gotten a little bit bigger than what I thought it would be. And it's funny. I did a speech, if you will, a keynote the other night, at a gala, if you will, event. And, I got up there and I said, why? I said, I don't even know why I'm up here. I'm just a regular guy.
Awesome question.
Regular firefighter, right? But I'm totally into it and I love it. And I love the camaraderie. I love going to fires, but I also love the back end of it. But here's the thing. We all talk a lot and I talk more than most. You can hear it in my voice. But I'll tell you this, man, the accountability of what I say now is in a spotlight every single day. So what I'm saying and preaching and talking about, I better be living it.
Yeah.
When we were up in Boston doing our On Tap, I had some guys come up to me and they recognized my voice. And I thought that everybody watches this. These guys are from Maine and they travel long distances. So they listen to the podcast while they're driving. And they grabbed me and it said the voice. And I was like, what?
You're that dude.
So that was kind of interesting because you're doing a podcast and you just assume people are watching it. Most people are listening now.
Yeah, and it's cool, impactful. Yeah, totally on my life, who I am, who I've become. It's only been 2 years, and we launched ourselves into a spotlight and under a microscope. We always said with from day one, the only way this was ever going to work is if we're 100% transparent and authentic. And never once have we or any of the guys and girls on National Fire Radio pretend to be more than they are, bigger than they are. Listen, I don't go to a ton of fires. I'm not a fireman in New York City or Baltimore or Philly. I'm not a ghetto fireman. Never have been, but most of the world's not.
Yes. The large majority of us are not going to fire.
A lot of people think or believe that they have to be bigger or better than what they truly are. And I'm sure I went through a phase of my life where I did that too, where you embellish or you talk, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work. And so when we started this platform, it was all about transparency, man. There's the one thing that I can say at the end of the day is nobody's got anything on me. Nothing.
You sure?
I'm telling you. Sure. There's nothing. Because I'll tell you why. Because if somebody has something against you, if you're not spitting truth and you're not being upfront and honest,
they can see through that.
You're going to lose.
And especially too in this industry,
you are
going to lose. And we've seen it. I've seen it. I've been involved now for 6 years in social media.
Right.
And I've seen people come and go. And the people that stay are the people that are the most genuine. And it has nothing to do with selling products or not selling products or aligning with this brand or aligning with that brand. It just has to do with being genuine and being true and true to yourself. And even making mistakes and talking about them.
Yeah.
People used to say that all the time about me. I can't believe you put that out there. You put a failed lift video online. I said, yeah, because I fail lifts all the time.
Dude, I fail in life more than I succeed.
Everybody does.
Yes. Right. And you learn from that. And you know what? If I have an experience where I failed, if I can share that, I don't care. I sleep very well at night. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care. I can put out any video I want. I have the ability to do that. But the ones I put out are the ones that I think are going to be impactful for people. And if you put some failures out and you show that you're human, people are going to learn from that just like you learned from it. And I think part of life, I equate the fire service very much to life. I think a lot of the nonsense that goes on in the fire service is directly relatable to how you carry yourself in life. We always talk about surrounding yourself with people you enjoy being with. If you put yourself in a position to surround yourself with like-minded people, you're going to succeed. That's it.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
in the fire service, there's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of cancer, and I'm not talking about the physical cancer. I'm talking about the mental cancer in a firehouse. And negativity runs rampant over the positivity, and it's hard. I get messages all the time from kids all over the country, 23, 24-year-old kid in a volunteer department in a small town. The chief and the officers have been there for 30 years, and they don't aspire to change. They don't aspire to be any better than they are, and so on. And you have these kids that are being almost held back, and it's hard to tell them, like, hey, keep charging, and you're going to get knocked down at every step, but keep charging, believe in yourself. That's a hard conversation to have, and then for even harder for those kids to follow through on, right?
And so what you're talking about too in this now, and the same thing happened to us with 555, with you're becoming mentors to people you don't even know,
right?
Like, or don't even know their situation, and they're asking you questions because of social media, because of the internet. And I know for me personally, I always start off with like, this may not be the right answer to your question because I really don't know what your situation is. You can type it out as much as you want to, but I'm not living it. Yeah. I know nothing about where you are in America. I told my original partner from 555 was from Texas, and he was telling me about Texas, and I was like, look, man, you got to understand.
Yeah.
There's New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of other states that we don't really care about. Right? Like, so just think about it that way. And I'm just going to put that out there for you now. That's me being real. And that's what, it's New Jersey. That's what we do. But become this mentor.
Yeah.
And then you don't even know it. And now being in it for a few years, and I think you guys are going to start to, if you don't get this already, you're going to find people down the road that are like, hey, man, I got the job because of things you said, and now I'm 3 years in, and I love everything, and thank you. Once the longer you're in this, the more it gets to be that little bit of a mind.
It is really mind-numbing when I get messages like that. We get them quite often. Just, hey, you helped me through this, or I enjoy your podcast. It sets my mind in a tone on my way to work. I have an hour commute or something. Like, we get all different types, from young to old. I'll tell you, it's incredibly humbling for me and for the rest of I'm not going to speak for the rest of the guys, but it's nice to know that we're making an impact, because I know that our content that we put out is solid content. And
it's your guests are solid people. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the National Radio Fire podcast. That's how I got here, right?
Absolutely. And that's important. But let me tell you something, like, we talk to people. I do my homework. There's a lot to it. It's so easy to just call somebody and say, hey, you want to be on a show? Everybody wants to. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be on your show. Of course. But I want to be on your show.
I have to make sure that the people we talk to and the people that we team up with, even the companies that we team up with, we do a lot of work on the corporate side too. All of that, we have to make sure represents our core and our mission, if you will, of, promoting the fire service for the good. There's a lot of pages out there that will go for the easy shot or the take a shot at the fire service, and
keyboard cowboys, as we call them.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but it's just, I think any content that doesn't promote the positivity of the fire service sucks. And I don't care. Like, I'm even talking about, a friend of mine, we're chatting, and you'll hear it on one of our future podcasts. We were just down in Texas with Affordable Drill Towers, and we were in a room with, we spent the weekend with 20 probably of the best instructors in the country. It was one of those.
Those guys were from everywhere, right?
My man.
A lot of the folks that you were with there, I didn't recognize their names.
It was an incredible cadre of instructors from all over the country, from California to Maine to Texas to Florida, you name it, and everywhere in between. Some of the best. These guys teach at conferences all over. It was just cool, and I had the ability to spend the week 4 days with these guys and see them train. And then we sat down, we did a podcast with 20 of them at one shot, like a round table.
Oh my God.
And it was cool. You're talking guys, Ray McCormick, Mike Dugan, Aaron Heller, like Mo Davis from Houston, like, do you know Mo Davis?
I've never met him. I know
one of the coolest individuals I've ever met in my life. I want him to be like my best man. Like, he's amazing. He's truly amazing because he's infectious. He's infectious about how great the fire service is. And I found myself sitting through, I actually sat in on his class and listened to it because I've seen some of his stuff. Man, floored. You want to talk about a guy that's got passion?
And so now with National Fire Radio, with your platform, you can bring Mo Davis into hundreds of thousands of homes worldwide. Because I didn't go to Texas.
Right.
I didn't get invited to go to Texas.
No.
I didn't make that plane, I guess. I missed dropped call that day. But I don't know.
Tucker missed that call.
We heard Tucker missed that call.
For a fact, I know he missed that call.
I was sending up smoke signals back then. And you know what?
Call.
I've run out of wood, so I had to get a new phone.
But you get to do that.
Yeah.
And I think for you guys, it's the same as, again, with 555 Fitness, we got to bring fitness into the homes of firefighters around the world.
Yep.
And we get to promote the fact that you're not the only one doing this. You're not the only one into this. And I think what you guys are doing for the fire service as a whole is saying there are a lot of people out here who are really into this. And it doesn't mean that you wear a shirt that says, I fight what you fear, or have 8 million stickers on your car or anything like that. You're just really into it. And we can make it better together than we can alone.
Why can't we be in a job?
There's no reason now. We talked about that on my episode of National Fire Radio, and we talk about it on the phone all the time.
I talk about it everywhere I go now. I go, why is it not okay for you to be in a job? What are you worried you're going to get your balls busted by a guy? Thank you for your service type stuff. And that goes back to what I was talking about. Any page that doesn't promote the positivity of the fire service is garbage. That whole thank you for your service stuff, when guys put that in their feeds and so on, that drives me nuts because you're belittling the job. Like, we're not, when a guy posts an achievement, he posts it because he's proud and he's made the job better. Don't belittle it.
Yeah. There's definitely,
that shit drives me up a wall.
For sure. There's also the end of it that people want to be thanked for their service. And that's not why we not got into that either. That's a whole different breed of person.
I agree, but you have
toxicity.
But some people need that.
But you have that in every single industry. You have your complete, I got terms for them, but complete tools, if you will. That's
a nice way to put it. I don't want to have
complete
the first tools.
There's a bleeper going
to guys that you would never know. One of my best friends is a very decorated firefighter in a major city. You wouldn't even know he's a firefighter.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's totally
of course,
okay with that,
of course. Right? And then there's everything in between. The thing is, though, is all of that from the nonsense to the most humbled, it all makes the job what it is.
Yes,
and so,
sure.
Do I get embarrassed when a guy walks in with dirty job shirt and radios all over his pockets and he looks like shit? He parks in the emergency lane. He's got antennas all over his car with blue light. I'm mortified by that, especially if I happen to be wearing a shirt that says fire department or something. And then I stand next to him, presenting yourself well, talking to people well, and really carrying yourself like a good human being. And then you get this slob that comes in and represents the worst of the fire service. That exists. And we all know it does. What drives me nuts, though, is how we have to highlight that, spotlight that, and make that what the job is really about. It's not. No. That's a small, minuscule part of what this industry is about, or who's in that industry. And I don't know why that needs any attention at all.
So do you think then, too, by saying something like that, because I know it happened for me and many people that I know, the second National Fire Radio became like a fire household name, let's say, were you immediately humbled due to that in your life personally? Like, to me, it's a humbling experience that so many other people are following me. And
I am, and I'm not going to speak for Tucker, but I know for me, it's extremely humbling, and I have incredible gratitude for it. It's funny because I don't find myself, I haven't changed at all about it. I enjoy doing it because I know that we're trying to make it better and we're trying to do our part to put out the positive mission. It is extremely humbling. It's incredible where I go somewhere and people recognize me and I'm like, whoa,
mind blowing everywhere. Anytime it happens.
But I don't have a mohawk and, so on, you know what I mean? But it's crazy. And I'm super grateful. But here's the thing, man, the one thing that we don't talk about is because of that, and because we've been thrusted into maybe somewhat of a spotlight on the stage, if you will, sure. We have to work 5 times harder because I shake everybody's hand and I tell a story with every single person I meet. I answer almost every DM in our Instagram and every IM in our Facebook and every message that comes across email.
It's unbelievable, man.
But you have to.
You do.
You have to because authenticity is what it's all about. And when I have a 25-year-old kid in Wisconsin reaching out and saying, hey, I just saw your Sunday night Instagram video and it inspired me and I just wanted to say thank you. Who the hell am I not to engage him and say, hey, brother, thanks for reaching out.
Yep.
There's the audacity, thing. Right?
Yep.
Like I'm just a regular fireman, man. Like I will sit in every firehouse in the country and bullshit with guys, and that's my most favorite thing in the world.
That's so much fun. It's definitely a perk to this gig, let's say, is when you get to do that. What about you, Tucker? Because I know before you said about the voice, like how much more humble do you feel you are since?
Well, I knew a lot of people in the fire service, been around for a long time. I've been at all the major conferences for years and years. And you see these guys up on stage, but they are just like us.
Yeah.
And now I'm one of those. So, it's that, you're seen by so many, but you are that same person. You can look at them and go, well, you could be just like me, and you need to talk to everybody because it's a big family. And what you can help somebody else with, maybe they not asking the right questions or whatever, and you can help them with that. And they might not want to ask you, but then maybe you can get it out of them. And it helps everybody.
Yeah, because they don't know what their question, how many other people have their same exact
and
question.
So many times you sit back and go, it's a stupid question. I'm not going to ask that. But if the guy that you respect says, hey, well, is this what you're talking about? No. Yeah. Well, then it's not a stupid question. So, there's a lot of that.
I went into this weekend with a bunch of rock star stellar dudes that I read and studied their info for 20 years in the fire service, reading their articles and understanding, watching their training nuggets and all that stuff. And then I get to hang out with them and
put their number in your phone, and you're like,
they're all on my phone. The text, the chat keeps going. I mean, it hasn't stopped since that weekend, and it's just that's cool. But it also to me, like I keep preaching to everybody that I talk to, is you got to get it out there. You got to put it out there. You got to own it. These guys that are the OG, I call them the OG of the fire service. They're my OG, and those guys had an OG before them.
Yes.
They're senior guys that made them who they were, and then they're my senior guy in the fire service that I read their articles and understand and want to emulate the job through the way they are teaching how to do it. They're just cool dudes, and they're just
but that's a great way to say it. They're just cool dudes,
and to be able to have a beer at the bar with like Ray McCormick and just talk shop and or tell jokes, and what a great experience, because it relates it, and that's to me. And I'm not saying we're on that stage by any means, but what I'm saying is the engagement. When you meet people and talk to people, you engage them and let them know that you're just like everybody else. There's no difference. Like what I love about what we do is I just get to talk to people. I engage people. And the impact that you leave when we go to firehouses, we got invited to firehouses all over the country. And we go in and we'll sit down. A couple guys invite us in. A couple guys don't know who we are. We go in, we start talking about it, what we do, and we do our senior man talk, and we talk about the job, the culture. I ask the young kids in the firehouse, like, oh, what's the story with that, plaque on the wall? Mm-hmm. And if those kids know about that plaque from 1943, that's cool. Yeah. They got a good culture, right? Like it's been passed down. They know, and it's so you can. And it's funny because a lot of the senior guys shy away from us. They're like, who? Even this past weekend in Texas, a lot of the OG guys were like, who the frig are these guys? Right? But by the end of the weekend,
these social media guys, I think they know everything.
Absolutely.
Their like button and comments.
And then you see like buttons and comments. And then,
dude, listen, when it comes to social media, come on, look at the way that I've, again, come up through this community. Talk about being the enemy. I mean, talking about fitness in the fire service was 6 years ago was like heresy.
Yeah.
There were a few other pages at the time. And so in the beginning, and I'm not going to call him out, but there's a guy whose name you said a few times that like legit called me out on like,
sure,
you're full of it type thing.
Right.
And we talked for like 10 minutes and he was like, oh, now I understand what you're doing. Right. That's really cool. Right. It just took me saying,
we are, we can come across as threatening.
Yeah.
Where people don't know, it's easier to demonize social media than it is to try to learn it and understand the value it can bring. Very early on in the fire service, social media was the downfall of fire service. Oh, look at this video they posted and it shows I don't know.
Oh my God. It just happened.
Right.
3 weeks ago in a major city in America, there was a picture posted that was taken.
Yes.
And it got put everywhere. Let's
sure.
put it. You know what I mean? Like was put everywhere, and there's a lot to that story. There's always more to a picture. It's the same as,
of course. But my thing is like social media. It's just a platform to post now. But it's still the individual that chooses to do what they do, and it's exposing us. It's not if I'm If I'm not a squared away guy and I talk a lot of crap at the firehouse and a lot of shit outside of the firehouse, well, now I just have a platform to put it on that's bigger and bigger.
It just makes you more of
bolder.
an asshole.
Right. But you're still an asshole.
You're still an asshole.
Right? Think about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So it just really exposes us. So I look at the good of it, and that's what I said. Like these pages that are not promoting the positivity of fire service, they're detrimental to what we do. And not
It's
we.
so
I'm
easy
talking about
to
the
be
fire
negative
service.
about everything.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
we need to get rid of that.
But educating the guys about the importance of it, the OG guys, educating them about how they can get their message out there. And, we sit there, the senior man's got to work harder than ever now to make this job better. 25 years in, usually they coast and they're on their way out.
Yeah. But they need
25 years in right now, we need them to engage the younger more than ever before to pass on their stories and learning. You can, part of storytelling is learning. It's training. Sitting on that front bumper after that run and just talking about it for a half hour, it's storytelling. Hey, what'd you do? Well, I was DOV. I went around the rear. I did this and that. You can gain some experience through storytelling just by sitting there and listening. But if you're not willing to engage, and the senior man's not willing to tell his stories, his battle scars, open up a little bit, or do you want to leave the job disgruntled, whether career or volunteer? You want to get pissed off after 25 years because you didn't get promoted or you got pushed out or you got knocked down or you don't like the new chief, right? So we become disgruntled and then we leave the job. And then when you leave the job, career or volunteer, you leave and you take all your storytelling with you. You take all your experiences of 25 plus years with you. You didn't win.
No.
You didn't win. You're tearing apart the fire service by not passing on what you're supposed to be doing. The senior man's supposed to be passing on his knowledge and experience to the next generation. And when he walks out of that firehouse, you walk out with your head up high and be proud that you left the foundation for the next guys to follow. And when you don't do that and you take it all with you, disgruntled, and you leave, everybody loses.
Yeah, we went up to West Point, and I remember a guy there that he must have been retired for 7 to 10 years, something like that.
And he was there.
And this guy started bringing out photographs and stuff. And,
That's awesome.
And all the guys knew him because he's around the firehouse a lot. And, that's what you need.
So think about
like that.
Think about, too, what you just said there is really key in negativity and that disgruntledness. How that affects you in your life, in your home life. Are you negative in your home life? Are you negative in your work life? How that's going to affect your body, how that's going to affect your mind. And I found, being a firefighter, EMT, paramedic, we're all helpers. We want to help others no matter what, but we have to also help ourselves. And I've seen that through the fitness end of things, that giving back to yourself, even 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, keeps you grounded and it keeps that negativity out.
Sure.
I mean, one of the reasons I lift heavy weights is so I don't punch people in the face, right? It's it is a total concept that is out there in the fitness world, right? I'm mad. I have a bad shift. I can go home, throw on some 5-finger death punch, put heavy weight on a bar, and it makes me feel better about myself.
I saw them in concert.
I did a long time ago. They were pretty good.
They were unbelievable.
How long ago did you see them? Now we're going to go off the rails, but it's good.
No, like 2-3 years ago, they're playing a festival at PNC.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, for everybody listening, PNC is like an outdoor venue in New Jersey that...
it's the ultimate concert.
Yeah, it is, right? Like if you're a New Jersey kid growing up, like everybody goes
It's
to...
the Garden State Arts Center.
Yeah.
I used to work there,
So, but yeah, I went to some festival there with my son, and anyway, he's big into heavy metal, hard stuff. But
they're also bad, and they give back. They give back a lot.
Yeah,
and their former drummer, I believe, just became a police officer.
Oh, is that
He
right?
left the band maybe 2 years ago, and I think he's a police officer now. I saw on their social media.
Yeah.
But you listen to things like that, and that's something that I found through fitness is it keeps me grounded. It keeps me in line, and it keeps that negativity out. Because how easy is it to leave a shift being negative? And, I have a couple days off in between my shifts.
Sure.
And I still may come back just as negative. Or I may not be negative the whole time I'm off, but the second I walk in that door again, it all rushes back to me.
how many people have their vices when they walk out of the firehouse, right?
Yeah,
I mean, alcoholism, drug use, all of it, right? Spousal abuse, chronic divorce, all of it.
That's horrible. In the emergency services, that runs rampant. And then, something else with the size up that I know is going to come up as a topic with some of the guests we have lined up is suicide.
Right. I was just thinking that. We have a lot of that in emergency services.
And there's so many other things that also go with that. Sleep deprivation.
Yep.
Sebi was just here and he's got to go to sleep because he worked last night. I feel like pre-555, and then even the first few years of it, if you had told me I was probably sleep deprived, I'd be like, nah, this is just how you're supposed to feel every day. Now I'm like, oh, it's because I wasn't sleeping well all those times. And now I have a whole little routine because I read a book and someone said, try to do a nighttime routine. And that's what I do. We sleep with a weighted blanket. It helps me sleep.
Yeah, I think there's value to all that. And that's why I'm excited, Pip, for what you're bringing forth. It's all these things. We talked about it. I mean, we joked at the beginning of this whole thing that, I'm not, listen, I'll fight fires. I go in, I'll charge the line through the building. I'll pull all the ceilings you want. I have no problem with that,
How do you feel after that?
Right. I mean, I'm winded and shot,
Sure.
I mean, there's no doubt, but I understand the value of it. And you and I have talked about physical fitness for many, many years. And I've always struggled with my weight. And even when I was in the best shape of my life, playing college, high school and college sports, I always carried extra weight on me. And that was when I was in my best peak, physical performance. It's just I'm a big guy overall. I think there's value to that, and I think what you're bringing forth with all of this, with the physical fitness aspect, but also, I'm a firm believer you surround yourself with people that you enjoy being with, and I think that your positivity and what you promote for the fire service is huge. And I never put a lot of the conversations you and I've had is what led up to the Size Up, and why we're doing this, because I always find myself after a conversation with you. I find myself walking away from it going, damn, I didn't even think of that, or, whatever. And I love that.
I've heard it before. He got me again.
Right. And for me, I think you're going to bring a tremendous value to the fire service. I think just the people in general, because again, I think everything in life parallels the fire service. If you get off shift and you come home and you're destructive in some way and you don't find a way to let go of that.
A healthy outlet.
Your personal life is going to be garbage. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people in my own world I know that are just miserable people. I mean that.
No, I mean listen, that. I know a lot of them as well.
And I say to my wife after a night of being with them, I go, what do we do? Like, why?
Why are we with these people that make us unhappy?
God, I feel so good about myself when I come home and I go, perfect example.
And you feel bad because you feel good about yourself because you don't act like them. And you're like, I'm feeling bad.
Well, maybe that's why you go and hang out with those people. So you feel better.
And then you're like,
it might be. It might very well be.
Hey, I gotta hang out with this jerk.
I need a pick me up. Let's hang out with Pip.
It's so true in life, right? And you said before, like, I hang up the phone with you or several people that I get to talk to every week for different reasons. And I'm like, man, that was awesome. I'm ready to conquer the world right now. It's that feeling you get after a good fire. And listen, fires are horrible, and we
don't have to talk about that. Like,
no, we don't. But
we enjoy going to fires. We're firefighters. We enjoy going to work. It's a fact of life. There's going to be fires. We go.
That's it. And you see that after. You feel good because you and your crew and your shift and the other crews, everybody did their job well.
I agree.
And we were able to.
But you
help
also made a stop, which it's not burning it to the ground. We can see the fire, and hey, there's a fire.
Yeah.
But we actually are making it better by stopping most of it, and that's a good job. It's
there's a picture of myself and a crew, and we burned down a city block one morning, and somehow this picture, I mean, I know why it keeps appearing on the computer. It's us like sitting in EMS rehab, and it's just the most dejected looks on.
Yeah.
Like it's not even dejected. I'm not even. It's just. There was no way we were going to win that day.
Right.
No one got hurt, so we did win.
Right.
But we burnt an entire row of house down.
Sometimes
but
it
you
happens.
see this picture, and it's a great reminder to me of sometimes that
you
happens.
know when you win though, and the team feels good, and they're high fiving, and even though it's a bad situation for somebody else, that team did a really good job.
And that is endorphins. Which hopefully we're going to have some folks on to talk about endorphins on the Size Up in the next few months here and talk about that good feeling and talk about how to ride that high into the next high because you go into your lulls too.
Yeah.
And even with National Fire Radio, you guys have had lulls because you and I have talked on the phone.
Sure.
We're not recording for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're switching studios again. We're doing this, and I know for me in business, I've learned the ups and downs of business. Business does not work as the fire service works.
No.
There's problems and they don't get solved.
It's reality.
It's real life.
Yeah.
There's no one to fix them. There's no 911 to call or anything like that.
Yeah.
And those are things you have to deal with. And that negativity can creep in.
Yeah.
It can creep in.
And you know what, for the Size Up to what you're going to be doing, I'm excited because I think you're going to give people people are going to be able to listen, and people are going to be able to pick up some ideas and tips. And I never even thought of sleep deprivation. Never even thought of that as a thing for
ever.
Why it affects your mood, affects your physical and mental health, like all of that. Never even thought of it.
No. I was thinking, if you asked me pre all of this sleep deprivation, I would think of like Navy SEALs and buds when they're up for a week. Those guys get sleep deprived. Right. Not the guy who just, is listening for a telephone all night or something like that at the firehouse or whatever we're doing. And that concept is so... It's still creeping up on the fire service, but it's definitely something. You think about nurses, police officers, EMTs, shift workers. I used to work nights EMS. In my younger days, I used to work nights EMS, and I would sleep all day. So I was on a flip-flop schedule.
Right.
And that was my life. And on my nights off, I would stay up all night and do what you do when you stay up all night most of the time, of being out and having a good time. But I wasn't sleep deprived then because I was on that schedule. Took me off that schedule, I would have been lost. But now that the way we work in the fire service with a flip-flop schedule, you don't even know when you're sleep deprived. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, it becomes a part of life, and you don't even recognize it anymore.
And you just drink more coffee.
Right.
And that's pretty much what life goes on with, like, let me have more coffee. I can
Absolutely.
have more coffee.
If the alarm goes off, you're going.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Well, then there's that too. And there's also in the fire service when it comes to mental wellness and physical health of how the alarm comes in now. Instead of getting bolt woken up to a bright light, loud tone, someone screaming, which is what still happens in my firehouse. You go to travel to other firehouses, and now it's this gradual.
Yeah, like ramps up.
Yeah, the light is ramping up, the tone is ramping up, and then the little computer lady, it's like, engine.
Good morning.
6, respond.
Yeah.
It's not the screaming. I'm like, what is this going on right now? Like, this is nice. Or you walk into the hallway and the light turns on because it's an automatic light, not this like bolt thing. But you see that because health and wellness has become such an important part of the fire service.
And I think now more than ever, too, people are recognizing it, the importance of it. I mean, the nostalgia images of a firefighter with a cold slice of pizza and a cigarette in his hand, still wearing his, 3/4 boots. No, but think about it, right?
No, it's gone.
With soot on their face. I mean, those are the images that I grew up with. And that's what I want to emulate. And I think, though, and I throw this out there just from my own point of view, is that we have to find the balance between that and health and wellness.
Yes.
The fire, we can't go, treadmills and salad bar for everybody. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen, right? I mean, that should be the cool thing.
Should that be the opening?
That should be.
Treadmills and salad bars are not.
But you know what I'm saying?
Put the feedback on the guys on the.
Because where I'm going with this is very simply this: it is a blue collar job. It is a physical labor job. You're going to get hurt. You're going to bleed. You're going to throw up. You're going to get smoke inhalation. All these things are going to happen to us. We can't prevent that. If we're going to do our job and do it correctly, all of that's a part of it.
Yes.
What we do have to do, though, is recognize that we need to take care of our own. And so things like physical fitness, especially the mental well-being, which is never or has not been discussed until very recently, things like that, we do have to talk about that. But we also can't lose track of the core mission of the job, and that truly we can't sacrifice the job for the well-being of us.
Yes.
And that I think for the size up is going to be, that's going to present itself. I think that's going to be a challenge for you on your platform. No, I mean that because
I agree.
Because you're going to have the hard-nosed guys that are like, yeah, I'm a fireman. And truly it's the mission, the men, and then it's me. So, to get that job done, we have to take care of ourselves. Then we take care of our men to do the job. And I didn't come up with that. That's Mike Dugan was talking about that this past weekend, and I want to give him credit for that. And he read it in a book. So it's nice to pass on the nuggets when you get them. But that's a very good way of putting it out there.
Yeah, for sure, because you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of the other men.
I get it. But I also am a firm believer that, sometimes you can't prepare for what we do, and sometimes it's, you can't, you know what I'm saying?
No. It's a big point, because when we do things, it's almost like this all or nothing. Listen, people think, for me personally, I work out all day, every day.
Right.
There's days.
You don't?
Sorry, Tucker. Did I just ruin everything for you? The allure of this.
All I picture you is at all the shows, lifting and all the people following you.
So it's funny too that you bring this up when we talk specifically about firefighters. The beginning of 555, we'd be out at shows, and people would snub us at the booth. They would literally walk by in their group of friends and not look. You could see them like sneering or making jokes and walking by. We would be out at night at the bars, at the after parties, at whatever, with a beer in our hand, and that same guy would come over and be like, well, what are you doing, man? I'm like, having a beer. But you're the fitness guy. I'm like, I know. That's why I do all the fitness, like to have this beer. Like, I'm just like you. There's no difference here between us. It's not this all or nothing.
Right.
And that's what the fire service, when you look at all these things, the things with cancer and clean cab theories, I mean, you're going from
0 to 100, man.
It's beyond the 100
Yeah,
of some of these
yeah.
things people are saying. And the same thing too, you know, Julie and Pete on Rush the Bus could talk about. Part of the EMS clean cab was that you weren't going to talk to your partner on the way to a call. There was no speaking. Because that would that could possibly draw attention away from the driver, and they could get into an accident. It just, again, you have to take this to a level that you're like, I agree. A clean cab is a really good idea. If you have a dirty SCBA pack, wash it before you put it back in the cab with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, in the old days, and I can speak for this,
With the horses.
Well, I was just a little beyond that, but you know, you would get a set of gear, and it would never ever be cleaned until you got the next set of gear. And now, after every structure fire, whatever, we're sending them out, getting them washed, and you know that's
a great thing. That's a great thing to clean
Yeah.
your gear, right? It seems like it's people. You tell people outside of the fire service, and they're like, people used to not wash that. I'm like, no, people used to not wash that.
Right.
Like, yeah, I wash it the second we get back now.
I just think, you know, for you, and I'm excited to see where you go with the platform. And
Me too.
And you know, it's going to be great because you're going to have, you know, the two camps, and then everything that you've taught me, Pip, since we've become friends and we talk, is it's in moderation, and it has to be real. If it's not real, it doesn't work, and we can't jump on this side of the argument. We can't jump on this side of the argument. There has to be something in the middle that we can all find common ground on.
For sure.
And I think, you know, with the size up, you're going to be able to bring forth topics that need to at least happen and have discussions.
Yeah, and I hope that the guests too that are talked about having on, they're going to tell their stories.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, I mean, some of the folks that we're going to have on the show that I've gotten to know and become friendly with over the years it's people don't know their stories.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a good
cool.
way to put it.
I'm excited.
People may have a little bit of an idea of their story, but part of coming on the show is we got to get your story out there.
Well, you got to drag it out of some
Yeah,
people.
and that may be.
You do.
I'm gonna be like, we're gonna do burpees until you tell the story. Right now, get down. It's 10 burpees. That's not it, man. I know the truth here. But that's the goal of this. And two, we're getting to about our hour limit here. And I think it's cool to start off the episode one like this and kind of finish up with this with setting my goal for the size.
Absolutely.
Your goal for the size.
That's where we're headed.
And that goal is to make not just the fire service, not just the emergency services, but anyone listening to this better after they listen. And I know for a fact that I've become a better person because of my involvements bigger than me and listening to other stories and taking my own personal size up that I do daily and seeing if I could be better. It's just better than yesterday. And that's my hashtag that I've been using now. That one on how did I get here? Because like you said, there's just, I don't know. The internet
Doesn't make sense.
Right? No, it doesn't make sense. And I think what you'll see when it comes back to that humbling question that I asked you guys, again, I would say everyone that I have lined up, they're the most humble people I know. And whatever people say about their social media persona or whatever it is, they are real on social media, and their humility is what I envy. You know, I respect it, I envy it, and I try to teach my boys that. And I really hope that one day we're going to have the mini pips on.
That'd be great.
And just, you made fun of me the other night. I was out to dinner with the mini pips, and I'm not going down the circle here, but we had a conversation about respect because they do jujitsu and different things. And my younger son, Declan, he'll be 7 next week, which is scary, but was explaining it to my wife about respect.
Awesome.
And I was like, you just got schooled by Declan.
Yep.
And I was like, this is
Not just a song.
No, it's not just a song.
And on that note,
On that note, in case you guys have 8 tracks
it's fantastic.
or reel to reels, there's a song called Respect.
That's
You
good.
can Google it. But no, guys, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I'm so
Listen, we're excited. We're excited to have you part of the family,
is
and we're
great.
excited for what's going to come of this. And I just overall, it's promoting the positive message of the fire service and life in general. And I'm super excited to have you on board. We're looking forward to the Size Up. It's going to be a really good content platform. And
thanks for having us on your show.
Yeah, much success, brother. Much
I really
success.
hope that made the video because Tucker's face just lit up
Oh, yeah.
to finally say, thanks for having us. I'm honored to have you guys as my first guest. And then we have to do this like business part at the end. Like, so where can people find you?
So, where can they find us? Oh, National Fire Radio. We're Facebook and Instagram, YouTube channel for the podcast. And we do a lot of tips, tricks, and hacks on fire apparatus and equipment, the way different companies stretch lines, throw ladders. So, we well-round ourselves into different types of content. So, we're out there. The podcast, YouTube, like I said, and then also Spotify. We're going to be on Spotify shortly, but we are on SoundCloud and iTunes right now, and so on. And that's under National Fire Radio.
Cool. And don't forget about our friends Rush the Bus. Rush the Bus on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Rush the Bus podcast.
Yep. A lot more to come.
And there'll be way more coming from the Size Up. You can check us out on Instagram at the Size Up. Or
the
underscore size
underscore up.
Because we're not original. Like we didn't get the name early.
Yeah, we didn't get it quick enough.
We were too slow.
It was a long time ago.
So I like to say with 555 we were before the underscore, but now I really can't say that anymore.
Nice.
Because now I'm into
That's
the
right. Now you are the underscore.
But awesome, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thanks brother.
On.
Appreciate it. When this podcast ends, we need to take this podcast out with the song "Respect" in the background. RESPECT, what it means to me.